Thank you all for that. All right, let's get started here. Real quickly, a couple of things. I always announce this because I think it's important. We're going to cover Usign today, and that's it. Can't answer support questions. They have to go to support, and we don't have Rose on to be able to snag that in the process. So if you have support questions, you're just going to have to send them directly to support. Your questions are important, but they need to relate to today's topic. And occasionally we'll just have a wide open topic day and you can ask anything and we'll do our best to hammer that out. But there's a lot of preparation that goes into getting ready for a webinar like this, and lots of images and lots of things that have to be done. And sometimes questions are just a little bit too a little too long, a little too complicated for us to be able to address in just a couple of minutes. Which brings me to the next topic, which is really important. This webinar is live and it's interactive. It is different than a replay. This is not intended to be a tutorial. We have lots and lots and lots of tutorials. And the tutorials are, this is how you do this, step by step, no interruptions, no nothing. But that's not how we're going to approach this webinar. What we do in the webinar, hello, Ray. Hello, Klee. It's good to see both of you today as well. What we do in this is to be an interactive learning experience. Now, that means that your questions are important. And so we'll do our best. There we go. Michelle and Elle is on. Couldn't find my glasses. I have that problem all the time. Usually they're on my head or in my pocket when I can't find them. That's typically what happens. So your questions are very important, and I want to make sure that we address those questions. And so I don't hesitate to stop and try to address the question if I can, if it fits into the flow of what we're doing. And that's going to be important. Okay. So, and finally, somebody will post a link in just a little bit. Hey, Javier, good to have you. Anyone else? All right. Now, I love this. You didn't wake up today to be mediocre. And listen, I tell you this all the time, and this is so important. If you're not going to be mediocre, you're going to have to put some effort in. There's a myth about software that it makes your life really, really easy and you don't have to do anything. It just works for you. That isn't how it works at all. You have to know something. You've got to develop skills. You've got to work on your understanding. You've got to put some effort in. And so that's why this is an interactive learning experience, because I want you to get past that. Let's don't be mediocre. Let's become amazing. And we're going to be here to develop skills, and we're going to work on the thought processes that go into creating the stuff that we're going to put out. Okay. So I really like this quote. And Ab, if you're on this morning, I want to thank you for this. I really like that. So thank you. Very creative use of the fonts there. I really like that. All right, the next thing. Ray, this was amazing. This was really good, and I like the reason behind this. I thought this was a great way to do this. And for those of you who can read that, Ray made this comment with this post that he put here. Get creative this Christmas. My niece's father passed a few weeks ago, and my sister-in-law asked if I could create a gift certificate to honor her dad. How cool is that? I mean, sometimes you get to do something and it's pretty cool, but sometimes you get to do something and it's pretty amazing. Nothing fancy, didn't have to be. It didn't have to be, although this looks really, really good. It didn't have to be fancy. And I appreciate that. And keep that in mind. Sometimes the sentiment, and we've seen this with a couple of things that Ray has posted, the sentiment gets so clearly communicated. I mean, this doesn't require any explanation. The person who got that, when it says from Papa, the sentiment is amazing. And had it been fancier than that, it might have gotten lost. So Ray, thank you. This is really, really good. This is what we want you to be able to do. This is the kind of thing that we want to accomplish in this interactiveness. And I say that with a great deal of emotion today, because I want you to understand something. This is not Can somebody give John some instruction there? He's saying he's not able to view. Tell him to press F5. John, if you can hear me, do that. That may help you. Okay. The reason for the interactive nature of this is because there's more than just the step-by-step. There's more here than just going through the motions. There's a difference between, I tell my wife this all the time, there's a difference between an artist and a craftsman. A craftsman can step through the process, okay? They can step through the process. They can take the image like we see on the left, put it there. They put the Merry Christmas, the 3-day Disney Park pass. They can create that. It's the artist that creates the message behind the image, and that's the reason why we do these webinars in this manner and not as a tutorial. Does that make sense to everyone? I want you to see that there's more here than just how do I put an image in a box. But that's, I told my wife, I said, you know, we've taken this platform to a place where it's doing some amazing things, and it's got a lot of tools in it, and it's going to get better, and all of that's happening. But man, there's more than just paint by number here. Okay. So thank you all for recognizing that and helping me to make that happen. Your responsiveness inspires me, and I want you to understand that. Elle posted this. This is the cover to her image. This is the cover to her image, to her book. This is the cover image to her book. I'll get that out right. And she said, this is the cover art for my new book. This inspired me for something. Okay. I looked at this. First of all, it's an amazing looking cover. I just want you to see that. Here's the problem that I see with this cover. Do you notice it doesn't fit? I couldn't get the whole cover on a single screen. And so I looked at that and I went, yeah, when I scroll, and I have to scroll to see the whole cover, either that or because I'm getting older, and you know, Elle mentioned her glasses a while ago, so we're all in the same boat. When I scroll, I lose the top half of it. And then when I scroll down the other side, I lose the bottom half of it. So this is a great image, but I don't want to lose the power of the image. All right. And I want to make this as amazing as it can possibly be. So I'm going to walk you through the process of what went through my head as I saw this image. And that's what I saw on my computer screen. And I'm sitting on my laptop. That's what I saw on my computer screen. Love the image. Love everything about it. Get that. And in spite of what had been said about the title, I like the title. I think the title makes sense as well. So, so let's go through this. And I want to again, I want to talk about planning your work. And so I'm just going to remind you of these things that I gave you last week. Somewhere I'm going to post this in the group. I'll make an image out of this and I'll post this in the group. But I want you to see, don't forget this. This is a browser-driven program. This comes up every single week. Somebody says, I can't, this has stopped working, clear your cache. How come I have to update my flash? Because you changed something, because something got updated on your computer. So now you have to change, now you have to update your flash. You don't have to save everything. You don't have to save everything. And that'll save you a ton of time if you don't try to save everything. Learn to use the group tool, learn to use the crop tool, and always check your image sizes when you have a problem. If y'all haven't noticed, there's been some real enhancements to the background tool. And we're going to talk about the enhancements to the background tool because I had to use it in order to work on Elle's image over here. Because I'm going to step you through this process. But how many of you had noticed the changes, the enhancements? And these are not these are drastic enhancements to the background tool. Have you noticed that? This is an incredibly powerful tool, and I want, so we're going to talk about it for just a little bit today, because last week we talked about updates and you know, some things that you just can't always just do a change log, because this is actually a partnership here. And so If you're in a hotel in Huntsville, Alabama, you should have just come over to my crib. We could have, I mean, we could have done this together, John. But I want you to see that there's some changes that go on in the background sometimes, and we don't always get a chance to do that. So we're going to talk about the enhancements to the background tool because I think it's pretty cool and giving some really, really good stuff here. Okay. All right. The next thing is now let's take Elle's image. All right. Can we do that, Elle? Can I have your permission to work on your image here in front of everybody? And then we'll go before we get to the canvas. I want you to see what went through my head. When I saw this, I went, oh, I can't see the whole image. So I decided that we would do this. Let's take that image into Uzine and put it, because of the layout of the image, I took the image and I put it in as a Kindle cover. Okay. It doesn't fit properly for a product cover, but it fit perfectly for a Kindle cover. So I did this. I grabbed the Kindle cover. I went to image preview and I downloaded this as a file. And that's when I took it in here to remove the background. All right. So this is the first thing that I did. I wanted to make the image so I could see it. Right. It's very important that we see the image in order for it to get the full impact. Do y'all agree with that? Have to see the entire image in order for it to get the full impact. So this is what I did. I took that Kindle cover. I took that Kindle product cover and I dropped it here. All right. Now that will fit on my phone and on my laptop, and I can see the whole image, right? Same image, same impact. But now I can see it, where up here, I would have had to scroll to see it. So by doing this with it, it was kind of fun, right? Does that make it easier to see? It's important that people can see your image. Then I decided to have a little fun with it. Okay. So this is what I did next. Now, I don't know if this is free or not, but yeah, the original format of the graphic was in such a manner that it's not, we'd have to change that from free. But through that, do you see this over here? All right. That's all I did. I took this and I modified this. All right. Now, congratulations, Elle, for this not being free. That just happened to be what was in this over here. Okay. So, and Stephen, I can't tell you what the size of the image was, but I just took that. All I did was I took the image that she had and I made it fit the Kindle. Yeah, I assumed that it was designed for Kindle, Elle, because it fit perfectly in the Kindle cover. So I just took that, did that with it. All right. So now, nope, the Kindle cover's actually inside of Uzine. Yes, I did. I'm sorry, Gavin. I didn't fully read your question. I downloaded the Kindle cover inside of Uzine, and then I uploaded it back into Uzine. That's really the easiest way to do that right now. There's not a way to save that. I wish there was, but there's not a way to save that. That would be a great feature. We talked about saving time and planning your work last week, and that would be a great time saver if we could do that. But as it is now, it doesn't take but just a few seconds to do that, to download it, then to upload it again, because I really needed to remove the background. So I uploaded it as an image so I could remove the background, and then ended up with this for my social post. So with credit card information up here when I posted on social media. All right. Do you see what we did with that? Now we're going to walk through those steps in just a little bit, but do you see how Have I changed anything from here to here? Yeah, except for the fact that, yeah, it's exactly what I would do, Ray, is I'd make that the call to action. You're exactly right. Yeah, yeah, we have two things going on, okay? We have two things. Yeah, yeah, I realize that, El. That's the reason why we're talking about it right now, is because when you post something like this, you're going to have you're going to run into issues because this was 1,500 pixels tall, right? And 1,500 pixels is now, with the new way that Facebook is handling images, that's going to let that scroll up and create some issues there. So the Ray's asking an interesting question. And I'm not sure I would have done that. I think that this works great for Kindle, the way that image was originally designed, so that it looks like this. Sometimes wrapping, I really like the strong justification for titles. I'll show you another example of that later when we get into the platform. They look good when you have an edge on the outside of this. The image by itself would be different. Okay. All right. Anything else here that you see when you look at this? There's one other thing I want you to see, and I saw this up here in this post right here. Do you see the border around the outside of this? I like that border around the outside. I think sometimes we do a post in Facebook and it runs out the edges and it kind of blends into Facebook. And I like that kind of photograph that Ray's mentioned that. I like that kind of photograph image right there. I think it's pretty cool. Okay. That's exactly, you're exactly right. This is, you want to keep things above the fold. When I have to scroll here, I lose the impact of that, because remember, we're all looking at this and going, we love Elle, we want to be able to help her. How can we do that? And she's even asked for help and support here. I get that, and so this could be handled differently inside of the group. But if you're going to share this with the public, this is the best way to share it with the public. And you don't have to scroll beyond the fold. So, very good. Anything else? All right, let's talk about some things that you can find that will be beneficial to you. I don't know about the rest of you all, but I tend to use the vectors, the first three boxes, the first three containers for vector images. So I scrolled down past those three and I started looking at all of the other things that are there. So we're just going to play with that for just a little bit and going to talk through that and see how we might be able to do this, because what I did right here was I just simply went down and found a vector image that I could bring and drop right there. And I thought it worked really well. Okay. And you'll find some things. This is not 100% vector. And I'll show you why I know that in just a little bit. This is actually a combination of vector images together. So pretty cool stuff. And sometimes these are updated in the background and we don't always know unless we discover them. Okay. Some of these come from other places, like there's license for the emoticons and those kinds of things. So when you have that, it's imperative that you take a little time and do that. Again, this goes back to not being mediocre. If you're going to, when you've got nothing else to do, you know, in between whatever it is that you're sitting on the couch watching television or whatever, open up your laptop and scroll through here and take a look at what might be new. That can be helpful, very, very helpful to you. And so I want to encourage you to do that. Okay. And with that, that will take us to the canvas. And from the canvas, what we're going to do is we're going to share with you some of the things, how we got from where Elle was with the original image to here. And then also we'll take a look at some of those vector images. And while I'm changing screens, I'm going to talk to you about what I do the week of Thanksgiving. Okay, but give me a second to start the change process here. Always takes a minute for this to catch up. And then I have to stop sharing the screen. All right. Now, always the week of Thanksgiving, I take that week of Thanksgiving to plan out my coming year. And I can't encourage you enough to do that, because this is a time when not a lot of other things are going on. You don't have clients that are needing help. Everybody's kind of in a holiday mode. And so this is a good time to be able to take advantage of the extra time that is afforded to you. All right, that should bring up the canvas. Do y'all see that? Let me get my get the chat where I can see that. All right. If we have time, I want to talk about what's going on here, and we're going to play with that just a little bit. But again, this is another example of being able to take. We can take some images from here that I think are pretty cool. Okay. This, by the way, is just one of the templates that we have. So let's go back over here and take this apart. I started, and we'll go back over here, and this was the original image itself. All right. And the way that image fit, it fit perfectly a Kindle cover. So I assumed that Elle had created this to be a cover for Kindle. So I took that image, and let me open a second screen here. And so we'll go down here to Kindle cover, and I'll grab this. We'll just go through the process of this. I don't have to upload that because that's it right there. And see, that fits a Kindle cover perfectly, right? So now when I click here, I get this. And the only way we can do this as of right now is to download this and then upload it. So that's what I did. I downloaded it and I uploaded it. And when I did, I got this. Now I need to remove the background from this. So let's go through the process here so I can show you some of the cool things that are on the background removal tool. All right. Are y'all up for that? By the way, today asking you to respond is a way for me to be able to get just a little bit of something to keep my throat moist enough that I can talk without coughing. All right, so this is what I did right here. I just grabbed that image and I brought it into the background removal tool. You're going to see some interesting things here. This is a completely different looking layout. Now, the tools are all still in the same place. They haven't changed anything with the tools. They haven't moved those at all. Let me resize my screen here so I can see you all's comments. They haven't changed. They haven't really changed anything with the placement of the tools, but they've added some things. Notice here that with this little edit, you got to drop down here. You have some new options. You can clear all the marks. You can clear everything that you've done. You can start from scratch. You've got the undo, redo buttons right here. So this is a new feature that has been added. There's a couple of other things that have been added. I can do this. Huh, that's pretty cool, right? And so I can focus all of my attention there and then switch over to here and see how it looks. So I get the result over here. So that's a nice feature as well. So there's been some, hey Jim, it's good to see you this morning. So that's helpful as well. Then you see this right here. This gives you the preferences of your output. How cool is that? So I can now set my output. If all I'm doing is removing the background, I can set my output to 300 DPI, right? Where did I click? Let me go back here and I'll show you where I clicked. Right here. That little, and again, these are universal icons. This is a setting icon. And so that setting icon is going to give me my options. So I can adjust. I can take a look at that, because this question comes up a lot. You know, can I do a different kind of color space? Well, yeah, right here. Then here you have the ability to be able to set your DPI. Amazing. That is just a really, really cool feature. Okay, so you can adjust those settings. You can talk about your opaque output file format. Because if it's opaque, then you have two options. It can be a JPEG, and by opaque, I mean it still has a background. You can do a JPEG, or you can do a PNG file. If you want to have a transparent background, this comes up a lot, and I think Gemma asked that question in the group not too long ago, that the background stays. Well, that may be that what happened was you had the background set for an opaque rather than a transparent, and didn't save it as a PNG file, but as a JPEG file. So those are things that you can do. And now this defaults here. So if it's saving, what's going to happen is it's saving that as a JPEG file. And that explanation, Gemma, I apologize that you didn't get that inside of the group, because this is probably what was going on with you. Is you were saving it as an opaque file format rather than a PNG file format. Maybe not, but that's probably what was going on. So the next thing is I can set the quality of image that I output as a JPEG file, okay? So just some really cool stuff that you can do here. You can enable optimization so it looks best and it's not taking massive amounts of space when you put it in a website. All right. So that's a really, really cool feature. Here's the options that you have, Eric, in answer to your question. Down here, you have three, because it's different for JPEG than it is for a PNG file. The PNG file has three options. One is it does not compress, one's lossless, and one's lossy. And I'm not going to get into the details about those. You can Google that. It's really easy to do. But this will determine your output. This is going to be the maximum best optimized for web, okay? Now, a couple of other things. Francis, let's focus on the webinar here right now, okay? This little shopping cart right here, this is pretty cool. And I'm glad this information was put here. Now look at this. An e-commerce marketplace requires that an item for sale be on a white background. You got that? That's pretty cool. An e-commerce website. Now, how many of you knew that naturally? Yeah, it has to be on a white background. And the reason is because it makes it stand out, regardless of what the format is for the e-commerce site. So remember this: if you're removing a background from something, make sure that you save it with a white background, which we can do very easily using the background removal tool. But really, this is a cool option right here. So if I'm working exclusively with e-commerce sites, I can set this so it defaults. So the settings are defaulted to set for e-commerce. See how powerful this tool is becoming? Probably the one thing I get asked to do the most is to remove a background. And all of these options are just really major enhancements in the background removal tool, and things that you can do. Yes, Gemma, a white background rather than transparent. The things that you can do now, it just makes the options of what you can offer to your clients, how you can use this in your own personal business, and all of that. So point this out today to help you from your commerce opportunity using the tools that we have. Okay. No, this is David. David's asked this question. Eric, is this Usign's e-commerce feature? I'm new to that one. No, this is just a comment about e-commerce, period. This is actually coming to us from the people who provide this background tool, but that's true. And I use my background removal tool to change the background images frequently for products. I have physical products that I sell in an e-com store. And so being able to do this is really going to be helpful, and be able to save that with a white background. So that's what that's all about. Okay. I really like the fact that that was included. All right. So the rest of these we've all been through before. Now, I'll show you what I was just talking about. All I'm going to do, this is not going to be the best removal of this, but I need to get each of these pieces saved here. And then we're just going to do a quickie background removal here. All right. It's not going to be perfect. I'm not trying to make this perfect, but I want you to see that little comment that we just made about e-com. Okay. So this is my image with the background removed. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to add a background. All right. And I can add a white background to that, just like that. That would be my e-com setting. All right. Now, sometimes, show you this. Sometimes it's a little difficult to tell how closely I have cropped that in the background remove, right? Any of you ever had that issue? I've had it many times, right? So put a highly contrasting background on here. How's that actually going to look? It's actually going to look pretty good. Now, I don't want to save it with that green background because it's not going to fit. Yeah. Most of the time I use green to check because it's usually a contrasting color. Usually, not always, but usually a contrasting color. And we've done some examples of that before that would help. Okay. But I frequently do that. And that is switch to a green background. You can actually adjust the colors of that right here. Okay. But these are your defaults right here. But being able to save that on a white background will make it work for an e-com store really, really well. Right? Any questions about that? So I just kind of wanted to go through some of the enhancements that have taken place on this particular site, this background removal site, because I thought it was really major enhancements and things that you could utilize immediately. Okay, there's nothing else. I'm going to close this. We're going to go back out here and talk about this. So you understand what I've done here. I've taken this, put it here, downloaded it, removed the background, which leaves me with, now, what I've always done in the past, and I realized that I was adding an extra step, was I would take that image and then I would re-upload it without a background on it. I would take this image right here, remove the background, download it, then upload it back into my platform. That was an extra step that I didn't realize that I was doing. And one day it dawned on me, Eric, you're adding additional work. So let's switch here back to here, and I'll show you what I did. All right. Now, I'm going to ask you to guess. Can anybody guess what I did? because I'd like to see if anybody can guess what I did that made this work. What did I do rather than put it in my uploads? Because my uploads, I'd then have to, at some point in time, download, delete it. Yeah, this is a gradient background. You're exactly right. David, you're correct. I used the group tool. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I use that group tool, because an image with the background removed, is not a group. So I had a little fun with this. I actually did this. And when I did this, I added an element to it, and then I can save it as a group. Then all I have to do is ungroup and delete the element. But that's 10 times faster than downloading and back uploading, right? So I've saved it as a group. Now, let me get rid of this because I don't need to have that. But that's what I did, is I saved it as a group. Now, these are easy to remove, see? Huge time saver to do that. So I now have this minus all of this stuff up here in the top. But because I used this image right here, and I had this little smiley face in the corner, because I had that, I thought, hey, something on top of that Kindle would make that look really, really cool. So that's when I decided I was going to do this. Now, I want you to see something here, and that is that this is a group of multiple images, all right? See that? You know what that is, right? This came from right here, right? But this is a huge time saver to do that. Now, I'm going to get rid of all of the elements here. I want you to see them. I'm going to get rid of them one at a time so you can see how this was put together, because I want you to understand you can do this. You can do any of this, right? And this is fairly easy to do. So I came over here to my vector images, and I decided that I would add a text block to this. And this is what I found. Now, could have done this so that we make sure that Elle doesn't not get paid for her work. But you have tools over here that you can use, right? Are y'all with me? Now, saved it as a group. What happened when I saved it as a group? It inspired me to do something more. To do something more. That's the key. I wanted to do something more with that. So if I take this and add it right here, now, notice this was saved as a group. Stephen's asking an interesting question. Give me a second to read this question, and I'm going to read it out loud because the answer is yes. If a design is too big to save, you can take a large piece, add a shape, save as a group, and then delete it. Yes. Save the rest and then add back to the recreated design. Yes. Use your group tool to make your job easy. And then you're working locally rather than uploading and downloading and saving images. Does that make sense to everyone? This is really an important time saver, and it's a major part of planning your work that we started talking about last week, and I wanted to continue to do that into this week that I typically set aside for planning. Because this is a whole bunch of stuff, and changing the size of it's really easy. or deleting part of it is really easy. And using the group tool to delete things or using the group tool to save things makes your life so much better. Right? Now, here's the thing about, yes, yeah, that's a good question, Gavin. And it happens, this gets asked all the time. It's right here under groups. When you go to the graphics, you have 4 options. The integrations, which is where your Pixabay and all your other images are at. You have the templates, which we talked about last week. You can actually grab a Facebook template and pull it in here. So you have that. And then over here, you have groups. And this is where your groups get saved. But no, that's a great question, and don't feel bad about it at all, Gavin. So, see how this helps, right? Make a difference? Now, this is a vector image. The outside of this is a vector image. This is just text put on top of it. And then this is a vector image that's added. So let's ungroup this. You'll find some of these over here are not icons. And you'll see that. Let me add one more here that I think you'll understand. And it is the buttons. Buttons are comprised of a number of images. Let's go down here and grab this. Yeah, until you refresh, David. Once you refresh, it does appear there, because that's actually what I did earlier when I was working on this. But I can take this button text, all right? Again, it's a group. This is one of those that's a group made up of vectors. All right, and if I change the color of this, you'll see, can you see what I just did? That's how you know it's a vector. That's one of the ways you know it's a vector, right? So whenever you do that, you're going to have these color options up here. But that's the background for that. And the reason why I'm showing you this is because you can easily make these yourself. If I have something here that I don't necessarily, I say, well, this would be really cool if it had something other than a box here. Well, grab a triangle and stick it in there, okay? Okay, I totally agree with you, Elle, because you can save it really easily. You can save it really easily as a group on a transparent background. I totally agree with you, or on a solid color background, because I'm building this on top of this. What would happen is other things would get saved with it, and that's not what I want to do. Okay, but that's a really good point. Yeah, David, if you refresh, which you don't want to do while you're working in 2 separate tabs until you get done, but when you refresh, those things will appear. All right. Okay. See what we're doing there with these, but you need to discover what you have over here. All right. Having this stuff over here is really, and look carefully at it. Some of these were built by our team. Okay. Our team put some of this together so that you could have it. But some of it was, sorry, I got distracted with the question. Some of these, like the buttons, the text blocks, there's the logos. The logos are pretty cool. Okay, you got the logo options down here. Some of those things were these were put together as a group. And but take a look at those things and see if you have stuff that you can use. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay, the tutorials will never cover what a tab is. Can you see up here at the top of my screen? I have this and this and this. Those are tabs. All right. That's what a tab is. Now I added a slight border to this, and the border's down on the background right here. All right. And you want to be careful when you add that border. I thought this color went really, really well with what we have here. Now, I will say this, that started to say this, to Ray's point earlier, Ray had actually used a photograph to make his border. And you'll find those right here. If I want to use, I may not find it here. All of a sudden, I can't spell Polaroid in my head, and so I decided not to use Polaroid as a statement. So if somebody wants to help me spell Polaroid, yes, I was an English teacher. I got you, but that's okay. I was a speech teacher. It gives me an excuse. Spell it right, or even when you get help, you can't do it. When I taught school, I would pay my students for catching a spelling mistake. I can take this image right here, okay? And let's get rid of this. Let me show you something. Let me take this image. Let me grab all of the stuff that we have right here, okay? I'm going to do this. Said I was going to do this. That's to Elle's earlier question, is that background. I'm going to get it out of the way. Now I can come over here and I can grab all of that. Now see how it's created a group out of that? I can grab all of that. I can grab all of that. I'm going to save it. I'm going to go over here to groups. It may, let's see, where'd it go? Did I save it? No, I haven't saved it yet. Sorry. So now I have the stuff that I had here, minus the little thing that was up at the top. But I want to show you how to do this, because this will come in handy for you. The integrations, and then I'm going to grab this. And what I would typically do is crop that to that size. But my group, drop my group in there. Like that. Then in order to do this, in order to crop it, what you do here is you change this. I was on a Facebook newsfeed image. People tell me all the time, I can't do that. Yes, you can. Go to the Facebook newsfeed image and change it to custom size. Now from the custom size, you notice the crop button pulls up. Now, all I have to do is do this. And now I can crop this. I think that's a little bit long, but it is Polaroid size. And now I can crop it just like that. I'll get rid of that border on the background, and we'll set that to 0. I can set that to like that. That's how you set that, okay? Now, I got a little, I didn't crop as tight as I probably should have. Let me show you a really slick trick. Just make it transparent. Make it transparent, download it, nobody will know, right? Does that make sense? Any of you ever use those? I know Gene does. Does anybody ever use these things here? I know Ray did, because I see it. Anybody ever use these images to do this with? I'll show you one that you do in every, I do a lot of groups, and I'll show you one that I use in this group all the time. And that is, and this looks great in a Polaroid right here, but I'm going to get rid of all of this stuff and we'll start all over again. So this is one I use all the time. All right, because I'm an old school teacher, this is something that I do all the time. And I take that and I make it the background. Here's one that's kind of cool as well. All right. Now we're going to do the replace tool. This is another time saver. Hit the replace tool. I can come over here and this is going to replace that just like that. Now, the reason why is because this is a funky shape. But if I didn't do that to replace the background and just simply imported it like that, then I could crop this. This would look really nice in a social media image, and I can grab text. I'll have to grab a text that stands out really well, but like this, okay? I can do that. I'm getting pretty close to being the right. There we go. And then I can crop this. And this is going to look amazing when I put it on social media. Here. Start over again. I can work all day long and my mouse pad never moves. I get on a webinar and I end up knocking it off on the floor. But can you see how that would look in a social media post? What do you think? And see, I could have done the same thing I did before. The size of that's not going to really matter. Proportionality isn't going to matter. Let's see how close we are here. Let's take this. I'll show you what you can do here because this question comes up a lot. Can't make it work for that. Looking at the questions right here. We got some really cool fonts to do this with. I mean, really cool fonts. You can come up here and take a look at these. And get down here to your handwritten fonts like this one. All right. The question that gets asked a lot is how do I make these fit in multiple platforms? Let's see, we had that in a Facebook post image. Where'd it go? I can never find that. Newsfeed image. That's because it calls it a newsfeed image. So now I just come over here. I'll do that. I'll save that. I'll make it so it fits. I'm running out of room here. Make it so it fits. And I use the group tool to move that around, right? That's the question gets asked a lot. Yeah, this is kind of fun, and play with the play with your fonts and see what you like. All right, because you'll find some really interesting. This was the font that was used earlier in something else. One of the templates that I was going to look at, but when you go down here to the handwriting fonts, you'll find some really cool stuff that you can do with that. Like, okay. No, Francis, I simply use the I simply use the group tool and and then move it from like Twitter post to Facebook to whatever. And then you have a lot less effort that you have to put into it. But when it's a group, it's easy to change the proportionality. All right. Any other questions as we wrap up this morning? But I thought that was going to be kind of fun to take a look at those things and make sure that you were utilizing them to the max, because it's really important that you take advantage of the tools that you have. That keeps, I'll tell you what that does. It inoculates you to shiny objects. And sometimes we need to be inoculated to shiny objects because we get too many of those things coming at us all the time. And somebody's got the latest and greatest, and what you really need to do is master the tools that you have. Oh, how do you save the different fonts? That's a good question. Right here, you notice this little save button right here? This is the universal icon for save. And when I click this right here, I scroll down here to the bottom, it just got added right here. Same, at the same angle, the same font, everything, okay? Same position. I've got a couple that I really, really like. This is one of them. This is an angle that I really like. And see, here's the interesting thing. All these things are here. And with the exception of the background removal tool, Herb, that's a really complicated question to answer at this particular point in time. I have less than a minute left. If you will save that, I'll be glad to talk about that later, okay? See, that's one of the advantages of going through this, Javier, is that it gives us a chance to be, I'm sorry, Francis, gives us a chance to be able to look at what we have, because the better we understand what we have, the less that we need to look for something else. So part of the purpose of this webinar is to help you to develop those skills. All right. With that, I am out of here. It is Friday. I want you all to have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you back here next Friday, same time, same place. Thank you so much.